Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Swamiji.
Good morning, Betty. Good morning, Alexandra.
Good morning, Swami Isha.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, Paul and Linda. Good morning, Johnsons.
Good morning, Swami. This is Steve.
Yes, yes. Glad to hear your voice.
Same to you always.
Thank you. We have 2 minutes to go. Okay.
Maybe everyone's celebrating Mother's Day with a brunch.
Oh, yes, yes, brunch. But yeah, most of, as I understand, the custom is to take out the mom, to some restaurant. But I think this is not possible this year, is it? Or they are just visiting their mom's place?
In Midtown, Swami, there's a lot of patio seating.
Oh,
Yeah.
Outdoors.
Right.
Good. All right. Good morning, Noel. Yeah, hold on. Noel, good morning.
Good morning, Swamiji.
All right, so let's start with the chanting. Okay, we shall chant together. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Badhitam Astu Ma Vidvishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the Supreme Spirit protect us. May the Supreme Spirit nourish us. May we work together with great energy. May our study be vigorous and fruitful. May love and harmony dwell amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mritorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. All right. So as we know, today is Mother's Day, time to celebrate mother. It's time to celebrate mom. And it is said that mom's love is the purest form of love that we may experience in this world. And I saw one of my friends posted today in their Facebook page that Happy Mother's Day to our super mom, Holy Mother Sarada Devi. Indeed, Sarada Devi's love, when you read about the reminiscences and her life, is one of the purest forms of love we read about, we see through the eyes of people who came into the orbit of her, this universal love, which was non-possessive love, which is not possessive, non-possessive love, and free, which was unidirectional, which flew everywhere, which flowed everywhere. And although it was flowing through the person of Holy Mother Sarada Devi, it was impersonal, just like the moonlight that flows in every direction. Sister Nivedita rightly captures Holy Mother's love, the beauty of Holy Mother's love, when she wrote, "Surely the wonderful things of God are all quiet, stealing unnoticed into our lives. The air, the sunlight, and the sweetness of gardens and of the Ganges. These are the silent things that are like you." That is Sister Nivedita about Holy Mother's love. Indeed, if we see the reminiscences of the people who came in contact with Holy Mother Sarada Devi, one thing is common, which is common to the pure love, recipients of pure love, that everyone felt as if they were loved the most. Mother probably loves me the most. And Holy Mother too once said that, I don't know if there is anybody whom I don't love, if there is anybody to whom my love does not flow to. People from all walks of the society, so-called criminals, downtrodden, people of questionable characters, who were despised by others, were recipient of Mother's love. So today we shall explore what was the ideal of that Holy Mother was trying to establish, what kind of ideal she placed before us when it comes to love, and what is the practice, how we can have, if not like her, but at least a bit of that love we can also have in our life. We can also imbibe that spirit of the love. Holy Mother said that Sri Ramakrishna was embodiment of motherhood of God. And he left me in this world to show this ideal of motherhood. So this ideal of motherhood does not mean it is restricted to women only. It means it's a mother heart that each one of us is capable of demonstrating or experiencing or showing in our life, or developing that mother heart in our life. So what is the ideal and the secret of Holy Mother's universal love? For that, we shall look into a small incident, which is profound in itself. The incident is like this. There lived a little girl in Calcutta who was very fond of Holy Mother. And Holy Mother too loved the little girl and often gave her sweets. Once, Holy Mother was leaving Calcutta for Jairambati, her native place, and the girl became very sad. Mother also felt equally sad. Mother asked the girl, "Do you love me?" The girl replied, "Of course, yes." "How much do you love me?" asked mother. And little one stretched her arms, said, "This much, this much." The mother laughed and asked, "Would you continue to love me even when I am away?" The child replied, "Certainly I would." Then Holy Mother asked her, "How would I know that you continue to love me when I am away?" The girl was in trouble. She asked, "Well, what should I do to make you aware that I continue to love you when you are away?" So she rather put the question to Holy Mother. Mother said, "If you really love me, even when I am not physically with you, then you should love everybody equally, as much as you love me. Then I would know that you love me during my absence too. If you can love everybody equally, just as you do to me, then I would know that you love me." Then the child became thoughtful and said, "What should I do to make you know that I love everyone equally, as much as I love you?" The mother gently said, this is important, "Do not make demands on anybody whom you love. Never expect anything from anybody whom you love. For if you expect anything in return or made any demands, then you would love that person more who would respond more, and that one less who responded less. In that case, you cannot love everybody equally." So that is Mother's way of teaching the sublime vision of non-dual Vedanta, that developing the sameness of vision, loving or relating to everybody equally, seeing the same divine principle in everybody. This how simply Mother could put this ideal before the child. Swami Vivekananda said once that was the goal of Swami Vivekananda's life. He said, "The dry, abstract Advaita, non-dual Vedanta must be living and poetic in everyday life. Out of this intricate mythology must come concrete moral forms, and out of bewildering yogiism must come the most scientific and practical psychology. And all this must be put in a form so that a child may grasp it. That is my life's work." So this is what Holy Mother is showing us, that instead of going to the philosophy, she is showing the child, that placing before the child the ideal of universal love. What is the ideal? The ideal is samadarshitva, same-sightedness, or vision of sameness. We find at many places in Vedanta speaks about developing this eye of wisdom through which we see everybody equally, that is see the same divine principle in everybody. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, we find Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shapakecha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. So who is illumined one? One who sees the same divine principle in everyone through the eye of wisdom. Although the differences are there in their manifestation from person to person, from being to being, but ignoring that, the illumined ones can see the one divine principle in everybody. And the next verse of Bhagavad Gita says, what happens when that eye of wisdom, that third eye opens? Yahaiva tairjita sargo yesham samme sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmat brahmani te sthitaha. So they cannot see because the Brahman is faultless and see the same divine principle, same Brahman in everybody. They also cannot see faults in others. That is what we see in the life of Holy Mother. That she says that Amjad is as good my son as Sami Sarot is. Amjad, we know, was a robber at that time, and Sharot means Swami Sarada ji, a disciple of Holy Sri Ramakrishna, who served Holy Mother throughout his life, and also at that time the chief executive of Ramakrishna order. But to Sarada Devi, both of them are equal. She could not see fault in Amjad. To her, Amjad and Saradananda ji both were equally her sons. Now one may argue that Holy Mother could see the same Satchit Ananda, the same divine principle in everyone. So she could love them equally. But what about us? What about us who cannot see this same divine principle in everybody? Can we then also love everybody equally? Holy Mother, in the story to the child and the what we just saw, in that incident, Holy Mother is telling the child the way to achieve that sameness of vision. What is the practice for achieving sameness of vision? Of course, when we can get the glimpse of the same divine principle in everybody, we are able to love everybody equally. But also, this can also be a practice, how we can do that. And that is the secret Holy Mother is telling, that don't expect anything in return. If we expect anything in return, then as Holy Mother said, that those who would fulfill those expectations, you would love them more, and those who would not, we would love less. Then we may think, and also psychologists also tell us that that is not always possible. If we always try to be giving in our relationships, if we are always in the position of giver without taking care of our own need, there is a chance of our burning out, feeling burnt out. Adam Grant, one psychologist and wrote many best-selling books. He wrote one book called Give and Take. In that book, he says there are 3 types of reciprocity style people exhibit while dealing with others in day-to-day life. One is the giver. They say, what can I offer you? That is their attitude. There is taker. What can you offer me? That is their attitude. And there is third one, matcher. mature, they seek fairness, equity, and justice in give and take. If you are nice to me, I shall be nice to you. And he says that this should be the position of having a successful, happy relationship with others. That he says that the matchers are happier than the givers and the takers, because the matchers are mindful about one's own needs too. That's why they don't feel burnt out. They are mindful about their own needs too. But see, if we see in Holy Mother's life, we never see that she felt burnt out. She always gave love without expecting anything, and she was happy. She was nice to people who were not nice to her, who were indifferent to her, and who also was difficult people. We don't see Mother burnt out. What is the secret? So if we have to go a bit deeper or dig deeper to find out what is really behind this non-expectation. The non-expectation, not expecting anything, is like a negative something. But if we look deeper, it rests upon something positive. What is that? That is being content, contentment. Going back to the incident, Holy Mother could teach this lesson to a child how to be content, because this was her key to universal love, contentment, because her own life was a life of contentment. So through her whole life, she was content, and that's why she could uh, tell a child even how to love everybody equally without expecting anything in return. By that, Mother is really pointing out to this quality, this virtue of being content, contentment. If we see her life, we see her whole life, this one virtue stands, very glowing, that she was content no matter what the circumstances were. Starting from, Nahavat, the tiny 4 feet by 5 feet room, 4 feet by 5 feet room where Holy Mother lived in Nahavat. The door was so low. Even now, the door is so low that many a times Holy Mother she banged the door. I mean, she bumped into the door, the frame of the door, once she cut her head. And there is a narrow patio all around. And also there used to be bamboo screens. That small room was her living room, her kitchen, her dining. Not only that, she had to accommodate lady devotees who would stay with her. The space was so small, things used to hang from the ceiling. She used to sleep on the floor on a bamboo mat, no matter it is winter or summer. And the winter at Dakshineshwar is severe enough because it is just on the bank of Ganges. In the midst of all, she used to do intense physical labor. She used to, from the very morning, used to prepare for cooking. Lot of devotees would come unannounced. She would cook. And also devotees were particular. Someone would love this, someone would not love this. She had to take care of all those things. And the reason for her staying to Dakshineshwar was she loved Sri Ramakrishna so much. But during the whole day, she could see Sri Ramakrishna only once during lunchtime, briefly, when she used to bring lunch to Sri Ramakrishna. Sometimes she said she could not see Sri Ramakrishna at a stretch for 2 months. But she was happy, not asserting her rights. She was happy with carrying out her duties. In the midst of all those things, she would wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and meditate on the patio overlooking the Ganges. And throughout the day, in the midst of all this busy life, all these activities, she was always mindful in getting engaged in spiritual practices. She says, later on, she said that people complained about mental worries. I never knew what worry was. A picture of bliss used to be placed in my heart, referring to her days in Dakshineshwar. If we just read her life, we can find in our standard, we cannot even imagine that kind of hardship. But she says, a picture of bliss used to be placed in my heart. Later on, we see more or less same lifestyle, same living condition in Shyampukur, a small place in Calcutta. She used to live in a very small place and whole day spent in cooking and doing other preparations for the devotees and Sri Ramakrishna. After passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, she went back to Kamarpukur. She lived alone. There was not much to eat. Village people were not nice to her, but she did not complain to any of her Calcutta devotees, any of the monastic disciples, that I am living in hardship. Later on, they found out and got a place for Holy Mother in Calcutta and brought her to Calcutta. In her own native place, Jairambati, her brothers and their families were demanding. Their brothers were needy, always wanted this or that from their sister, Holy Mother. Then she had a niece and a mad aunt. They made her life difficult. If we read her life, sometimes they even abused Holy Mother. She got bad treatments from her own greedy relatives, but she bore them all silently, all the while serving them and loving them. And the real test of contentment is not having grudge against anyone. One example we find that when Holy Mother was once coming from Jairambati to Dakshineshwar on foot, and there was a big field called Telohelo, which was infamous for the robbers, the highwaymen. And Holy Mother, along with her own family, were traveling, walking. She was only barely in her teens at that time. And since the evening was approaching, her family felt that we should be quick. Otherwise, if it is evening, there is a chance of getting caught by the robbers, the highway people. And since Holy Mother was slow in her pace, in the walking, they all left her behind. And we know how the robber came and asked Holy Mother who was she, and Holy Mother addressed that robber as, "Father, I am your daughter, Sarada." And this melted their heart, and how the robber and his wife took care of Holy Mother and later on escorted her to her destination. But later on, this story, people wanted to hear from her mouth. Tell us what happened. Holy Mother would keep silent about. She would not say, she said, forget about that. You have heard already. So someone asked Holy Mother, why you are reluctant to narrate that, what happened. Then she said, look, if I narrate the story, it will reveal the selfishness of my own relatives, my own family. It will, of course, glorify Holy Mother Sarada Devi's, fearlessness and how she could endure even a robber, but at the same time will highlight the selfishness of her own family members who left her behind. So she was reluctant to narrate this story in later times. So she had no grudge about people who treated her badly. So that is the taste of contentment. And you know what? The paradox, this is one of the paradox of spiritual life. We may say, those who does not want anything, they get everything. Sri Ramakrishna offered his lifelong sadhana at the feet of Holy Mother Sarada Devi when he worshipped her in the form of Mother Kali. Once he told Sri Ramakrishna, rather lamented, won't we have any children? Sri Ramakrishna said, wait, you may not be a biological mom, but later on you will find that countless people will call you mom. And that is what happened. She was mom to all. Hundreds of devotees would shower her with adoration and affection. This is the paradox. She did not want anything in return, and she got everything. That's why she does not give too many spiritual advices. But she said a few things. Among them, she said, there is no treasure equal to contentment. There is no treasure equal to contentment. Indeed, contentment is a goal in itself. Contentment is a practice, but contentment is a goal, independent goal of spiritual life. What happens when you are established in the practice of contentment? That we see in Patanjali Yoga Sutras. One of the niyamas, one of the do's of Patanjali is Santosha. And what happens with the practice of Santosha? With the practice of contentment, one who gets established in the practice of contentment, Sutra, aphorism 42, second chapter of Yoga Sutra says, Santoshat anuttama sukhalava. From contentment, highest happiness is attained. From contentment, highest happiness is attained. Vyasa, the commentators, in his commentary to this aphorism, quotes from Mahabharata, which highlights or captures the beauty of contentment. He says that whatever happiness there may be in the enjoyment in this world, and whatever greater happiness there may be in the celestial world, they do not amount to 1/16 of the happiness attained from cessation of desires, that is contentment, being content with whatever we have. Yaccha kama sukham loke, yaccha divyam mahat sukham, Krishna shaya sukhasso ete, na arhataha shodashim kalam. When we are content, we are so happy that happiness cannot be compared with anything else. That is, no other happiness comes anywhere near to the happiness when we are content with what we have. Vijnana Bhikshu, another commentator, says that when hankering is removed, the mind, chitta, becomes content. The sattva quality of mind, sattvic quality of mind becomes undisturbed. Mind, which is a mixture of sattva, rajas and tamas, three qualities or three gunas, sattva becomes undisturbed. Highest happiness, which is the nature of sattva, manifests spontaneously. At other times, when we are hankering about things, hankering about others' affection, approval, the innate happiness that is in sattva is covered by tamas and rajas. The sattvic happiness does not depend on external objects, which are anyway vulnerable and fleeting. And this sattvic happiness is inherent in the mind when it is tranquil and contented. That means we have the mind, the innate nature of mind is to be happy and content according to yoga. But when we are hankering, we are just covering this happiness. One desire and fulfillment of that desire for the time being, mind is becoming sattvic. Another desire is coming, fulfilling that desire, mind becomes undisturbed, remains happy. But according to yoga, if we can cut down our desires, control our desires, then we are contented, and the sattvic mind itself reveals or manifests the happiness that is in us. So we understand contentment is such a great virtue, but I was thinking, what really practicing contentment mean in our day-to-day life? I thought that probably there are two practices we can do. Number one practice is being satisfied with less. The problem, as it appears to me, is discontentment or hankering is owing to a gap. The gap between what we have and what we want. The larger the gap, more discontent we have. We are here, we want to go there. The larger the gap, larger the hankering, larger the want, more discontent we have. So what could be the approaches? The one approach is known to us, the approaches of this world. Materialism. Try hard to get what you want. You don't have to lower your expectations, your wants. It is completely legitimate to have desire for more. The bigger house, a bigger car, and whatever. It's good to have them and strive for them. You strive for them. That is the way of the world, materialism. And I don't want to be critical about that, but this is what essentially American dream is, the American dream. Fulfill your American dream. But it might complicate our life. And forgetting about the, the effort, energy, time that we need to spend for achieving, that aside, getting more and more might complicate our life. That we know already, all of us know that how when we strive for more and get even more, the life, simple life we had might have become more complicated than we could thought of. And examples are everywhere. We know it. How difficult later on it becomes to maintain a larger house. How difficult it becomes to maintain or manage huge amount of things that we have possessed. But Holy Mother's approach, that was one approach. Holy Mother's approaches reduce the gap by reducing your wants. Reduce the gap by reducing your wants. We don't have to give up our desires altogether, but we can learn to be happy. We can learn to be happy with less. For example, we may think an exotic vacation for a week will make us happy, and we may be discontent for not having it. But studies have found that mini vacations are also equally helpful. That is, in the midst of all our activities, a mini vacation of say 2 hours in a week, if we are not in a position to take a long vacation, even a mini vacation to a nearby place, a nearby nature park amidst nature, is equally potent to make us content and happy. Then keeping modest goals. So for example, all the science tells us that try to walk at least 10,000 steps daily. But what happens is, for most of us, we cannot make 10,000 steps. We keep a goal of 10,000 steps, we cannot make it, feel bad about it, then we stop having that goal anymore. But instead of that, say we reduce the goal, to a modest something, say 7,000 steps. Probably that we can do, and it will make us contented. Not only that, it motivates us to do. It is better to have 7,000 steps than not having any steps. Then finding joys in little things. That is what the pandemic research during this pandemic has shown us. Even during this pandemic, when we could not fulfill our usual goals of happiness, even those who could enjoy, relish the small things of life, like the morning coffee or walk in the neighborhood, or any small things, the music, they remained happy and optimistic even through this stressful time of pandemic. So to me, this seems to be one way of becoming content, that learn to be happy or content with less, instead of thinking that we should get rid of all the desires. Rather, reduce our desires to a level which we can achieve day-to-day life. Then second one could be, second step or second method of being content, maybe counting our blessings, not taking the good things that we have for granted, rather periodically acknowledging the good things that we have in our life. Rather than thinking about what we are lacking, we should also find out times to appreciate or acknowledging things that we have, which we are taking for granted. It's a topic in itself, being grateful for things we have. I don't want to go further in details about it, but we should remember well what Socrates said. Socrates said, one, this is very important. I love this quotation. One who is not contented with what they have would not be contented with what they would like to have. One who is not contented with what they have would not be contented with what they would like to have. Indeed, we have many things we have achieved, got what we wanted, or what was dream for us at some point of life. Even after having them, if we are not contented, that means having more or achieving more also would not make us contented. The thing is, what is the relationship with being content with love? Especially love, as we see the dynamics between people. And I find that if we learn to be content with what we have, this contentment does not remain fixed in that area. It spreads out to our relationships too. When we are content with what we have, that contentment also spills out in our relationship with others. Our expectation from others also reduce. This contentment leads to desirelessness or inner freedom. That is what we see in the life of Holy Mother Sarada Devi. As I probably recalled earlier, Swami Ishadhyanananda in his book, that reminiscences about old Swamis, he mentions that there is one Swami Ishadhyanananda Baroda Maharaj, who lived with Holy Mother for 11 years, and that too very closely. So Swami Ishadhyanananda asked that Swami, that you have lived with Holy Mothers for 11 years. What is the difference of Holy Mother with other people that you have seen? Then the Swami said that I have not seen any person who is completely desireless like Holy Mother Sarada Devi. So this is what contentment leads us to. If we practice contentment, then we slowly become desirelessness. And Holy Mother Sarada Devi says, this becoming desirelessness is moksha. This is inner freedom. Nirvashana is moksha. And if we contemplate Holy Mother's life, desireless life, a life of contentment, what happens? We also imbibe that quality. Patanjali, in his Yoga Sutras, first chapter, speaks about different methods of controlling the mind, different ways of achieving samadhi, total absorption, which is the goal of yoga. After giving several options, in aphorism 37, he says, we become pure and content by meditating on people who are desireless. If we contemplate on people who were desireless, we also imbibe that quality of desirelessness, and our mind also becomes calm, quiet, and conducive for meditation and ultimately to samadhi. Vitaraga vishayam ba chittam. If you concentrate on such people who are vitaraga, those who are content, those who have become desireless, then your mind becomes steady. So in conclusion, the ideal of Holy Mother's universal love was based on Samadarshitva, That is possible through seeing the same divine reality in everyone. Until we have that, we can reflect, demonstrate, or experience a fraction of that universal love through the practice of contentment, which means remaining satisfied with less, reducing our want, and counting our blessings. When we are content with less, when we are content with what we have, this contentment also affects or spills out to our relationship with others. Our expectations from others reduce. We connect with them with the fullness of heart without expecting anything in return. We are able to love others without any expectation, and our love reflects the purity and unselfishness as was Holy Mother's love. So this is, I think, the secret of Holy Mother's love, which is not restricted to Holy Mother or not restricted to our own moms, but which is a capacity that all of us have and all of us can develop through practice. And on this Mother's Day, let us contemplate on Holy Mother's life and pray to her that we may also in our life can taste a bit at least of that pure, unselfish, universal love and demonstrate in our day-to-day interactions with others. We shall close with the closing chant, and then we can discuss or have question, answers, comments. We shall chant together. Om Madhubata Ritayate Madhuksharanti Sindhavaha Madhiirna Shanto Shadhihi Madhunaktam Utoshasi Madhumat Parthivagam Rajaha Madhudvau Astuna Pita Madhumano Banaspatir Madhumagam Astu Suryaha Madhiir Gabo Bhavantunaha. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Sweet blow the winds, and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the herbs and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessing. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us be the shining sun. Sweet unto us be all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace.